as we should be able to head into there rather soon, and there we go. He did end up going for the overprotective wisps as well, so yeah, it certainly could be a bit of a problem here to try and actually deal with Panda in this lane. We'll see. I mean, Nouns already smoking up, of course, looking for some early fights because Gunnar wants to start stacking up that gold as early as humanly possible. Visage, one of the kings of the level 1 team fights. But of course, Infinity playing rather safe. They're just hugging their mid-tier 1 tower, and I highly doubt they're going to be looking for any kind of engagement here against Nouns.
Yeah. Well, to be fair as well, we did see these drafts again in qualifiers elsewhere. Visage Nyx was the lane playing into the Enchantress lane, and, you know, as an Ench, you're probably never going to be playing with Enchant. So that is one thing you'll take away from the Enchantress as well. At the very least, you don't have to worry about the creep micro here from the side of Nouns in that lane.
Well, the thing is, he's probably still going to have to level up Enchant. Because I think he will want the split push potential for the Ench to try and be ultra annoying this game. But we'll see. Definitely not going to have the value he wants in laning stage, that's for sure. Unless he just doesn't lane against him. We'll see. Panda's so far up at the top lane right now, looking to maybe cut off Fly and Yuma. But it is just the Ench, and it looks like he is indeed going to just go through the twin gates, so nothing of action, no action really happening here at this top lane yet. That mid lane, of course, you're going to have PP against Copy. So the Quap vs Storm Spirit matchup. What do you think about this one, Jim?
This one's relatively happy for a Storm. You can stand far back enough that you're not going to get screamed upon every single time. It's a little bit more mana costly for Copy to kind of get some harassment in. Of course, PP can always static slide a Remnant. He can try to get some overload charges onto Copy, but it might not be as safe as, again, you're putting yourself in the firing line of Scream of Pain. It does kind of boil down into basically a farming lane with maybe some aggression coming out from Copy. I'm curious to see if PP actually feels like it's safe enough for him to go Vortex and try to double overload, but range matchups, you really don't tend to do that. You just go kind of 2-0-1, I suppose, by level 3, and just, again, clear out control creeps and just farm up. And you're happy enough to just farm anyway as a Storm, as long as you're not getting denied too much. EXP is really the key factor in that matchup anyhow.
I've seen Costabile at bottom lane taking a lot of mana damage here, as of course Gunnar has started with the Soul Assumption spam. Already very, very low on the mana department. Costabile doesn't really have any regen either. Of course, he's just trying to rush the Arcane Boots, I do believe. At the very least, we'll have the Bassi coming in very soon, but Lelos gets a nice start off, and Costabile, he's okay. He'll survive, but this lane, at least the start to the lane, has been very awkward.
And it is. And that's without the Mind Flare being available on Lelis yet. He does have it now with level 2. Costabile is not the safest in this lane early on. And Gunnar getting some good work done. That does cost him all of his mana, but he still has 2 mangoes on hand. And Panda's not really able to cut them off. Like, they're just playing right in the middle of the lane. Again, without, say, a chance to even enchant a creep, you're not going to be happy there at all.
A nice first blood secure here for Fly on the Shadow Demon, just being able to take out Knight quite easily himself, so happy days here for the top lane of Nouns. Of course, Yuma's not really under any pressure whatsoever here on the Alchemist either. Should be able to farm just fine underneath that tier 1 tower, and as long as Fly's around, he should be relatively safe. Look, there is some danger against the Hoodwink and Pango, but again, the Disruption's such a powerful kind of spell to just save every time.
Yep. Makes it a little bit harder for that full committal, and they've already cut the tree line just to make it a little bit more awkward for Knight to look for these bushwhack plays. Yuma just constantly using that Quelling Blade, so it's not going to be as easy to line up. Of course, you don't have double jump as well, so it is just Thunderbolt, and you're not going to feel that fast until level 6 is up. So your laning presence, it's kind of shrunk down just a tad bit in that Pango at the very least.
Bottom lane has slowed down a little bit here from Nouns' end. They aren't trying to be quite as aggressive here against Costabile and Panda. So you are seeing the Mind Flare on the large camp, of course, from Lelos. Even the pools for Panda are going to be rather difficult against this Nyx Assassin. Does still end up skilling up Enchant, of course, because he does need it once you get past the laning stage, but obviously won't really be able to utilize it too much while this Nyx Assassin is around. Mid lane looking like a pretty even affair, but Copy is slightly ahead in terms of the CS department. Pippi Still able to abuse the static slide, but is still being a little bit cautious as Copy has been able to land the screams onto this Storm. But CS-wise, they are still pretty even as top lane. They're going to make a jump. Yuma with the stun out. Has found Knight. A lot of Shadow Poison stacks, but they need a little bit more, and they've got it. Fly landing the last Shadow Poison right on the edge, and he will secure a second kill now on the Shadow Demon.
Laning so far looking clean for Nouns. Every lane looking like it's getting what it wants out of it. And Costabila's farm has been severely impacted from that early aggression. Just missing out on this initial creeps has had a bit of a snowball effect on just what he can get done in lane. Bit of a move on to Copy.
Pippi knows he has no blink. Copy just blinked in to try and secure a rune, and he's going to die for it. Awkward kind of initiation, or initiation I say, awkward kind of blink in from Copy, and Pippi does punish immediately. That's a pretty big win for the mid-storm, considering you were falling slightly behind, but now Pippi's going to hit level 6 a lot earlier than the Quap will.
And some great timing as well to go for that value point in the Vortex. That additional hold, just giving him that opening to get that punishment. No rotations coming out from the supports as well onto that mid to get that movement to secure Water Rune, as the side lanes are just very tied in. Some aggression. The Nouns emphasis on the side lane pressure is just hurting that mid with the usual movements we've seen.
A lot of damage onto this Alchemist. Disruption again from Fly, going to be onto Knight, into the stun, but it is going to not be enough this time, at least for now. But Fly is still going. More Shadow Poison stacks, and he's got another kill. Now, Yuma was being zoned out by Lich just to ensure you didn't have the follow-up damage of the Alchemist, but Fly is proving to be more than enough thus far. That glitch?
Yes.
We'll get stunned up here on the Pango. Fly, starting to stack up those Shadow Poisons once again. But of course you can just swashbuckle away.
It's a little bit unfortunate for Knight. He got stuck in the tree line right as Unstable flew out with Acid Spray still.
Panda's rotated over. They're tanking the T1 tower hits with this Enchanted Creep. Disruption will buy a little bit of time for Yuma, but not quite enough. It's a very nice rotation now from Panda. Able to find the position 1 kill as they go for Fly now. Fly certainly not finding his way out of this one. Knight able to get some sweet, sweet revenge on the Hoodwink as he does find a double kill.
I mean, you're at the point where you can leave Costabile alone. Level 4 on that Dusa has a little bit more stats to play with, and is just a little bit tankier, so the kill threat isn't as clean.
Oh, they're jumping him. They want the Dusa. It's going to be a slow process, but they're almost through his mana pool. Of course, they won't dive past the tier 1 tower, but still being as annoying as possible.
They are. It's just a harder process now at level 5 fully done for Costabile. So again, the rotation pays off. The punishment's a little bit late on Nouns. Killboard evens out 3-3 here for Infinity. And for Nouns' part, again, you're still in a decent spot. You've still got all these stacks lined up for Yuma behind the tier 1 that are protected, that he is clearing out. Radiant's timing still looking to be on point here for our Alk. Copy, despite that death, is still number 2 in net worth as well. But the concern starts to come in once level 6's line up here from Infinity, right? Like you're going to have a Storm that can zip around. Your hold, again, is very tied into Lelis. He does not have Vendetta to try to catch a Storm off guard. He's getting some room now to just clear out some camps himself with a Mind Flare at the least. So some farm, some solo EXP coming in. The laning pressure coming out from Gunnar, not the strongest, but he does have Familiars up to help control if he can find an angle in with him, at the very least.
The cheeky and snare out from the neutral creep, just catching Costabile. And that might be the Medusa death. In fact, it won't be. Costabile, he had some healing lotuses, he will survive. But that neutral creep kind of just went rogue, as now Fly's going to rotate. Costabile, still relatively healthy in the mana pool, does pop the Stone Gaze and does go for the TP up. Lelis could try for an Impel, but just doesn't have the vision. Won't bother trying, we'll just hold out. But now with the Medusa down, or rather with the Medusa out of your lane, they can certainly start to look towards that bottom tier 1 tower.
You have some push pressure coming in here with Gunnar, and that's where that higher pace of game you were looking for from the draft kind of kicks in here, Mikey. Just some tower pressure, very nice and free for Gunnar to find by himself. And the response from Infinity is to just ignore it, which I think is fair. And there is a lot that can go wrong playing into Visage. Even just the value point in Gravekeepers makes it a tougher call to try to burst him down. They are at least trying to manage the Familiars. And they'll send Panda in, just try to manage the lane as well. A bit of a smoke out now from PP and Knight. Again, pushback, zip, and vortex ready for some jump control. Could be some nice targets down bot.
They've even got an amp damage rune here on Pippi. This could be a real problematic fight for Nouns. They're going to try and jump Fly immediately. Of course, Fly, a huge target, but Fly is certainly walking out for now. Copy, even rotating just in case, as it seems like Infinity, they got the message, they will leave. So the smoke rotation not going to work out. I suppose you could call that a little bit unfortunate for Infinity. Most you really get out of that rotation is a TP in from Copy.
Yeah, and you don't mind this at all from Nouns. Free space up top. Yet again for Yuma to just hug behind the tier 1, shove out the wave, get his farm going on the Alchemist. Going to be way more efficient than do so very early on here. Costabile does not have an easy way of clearing out these camps just yet. Even the power tread still not quite up yet for Ardusa. So farming pace is just that much slower here. And in a stalled out game, at least in terms of early tempo, you don't mind us on Nouns, right? You're starting to build up on your Alc, you're getting that investment going, you still need something like the Dagon on Copy that we tend to see on the Quap. I'll try to rotate, but he missed the Centaur stun.
You know, Panda's just being so annoying though. It's one of the things you can do, just get the enchanted creep and just follow the mid laner and just be as annoying as possible. Fly. Well, Fly will get caught out. Pushback did land and that'll be a guaranteed kill eventually onto Fly. No way out of this one. Because Copy, he was around, but there's not much the Quap can do right now against 4 heroes. So we'll just see his position 5 Shadow Demon die for free. But while this is happening, Yuma has been left to free farm. So I suppose as long as your Alchemist is hitting creeps, you're pretty happy.
And you are. Again, no one's playing top lane. He's very well protected from even gate rotations, as long as he's by his tier 1 with his ward, watching his camps. And he's just happily, constantly clearing out 2 camps at a time, with no contest. It's just a slower pace for Costabile, no matter how you cut it. This Deuce's farming pace doesn't pick up until later on, until it has more items. Even Lull is just not stopping his tracking of that Deuce. Just trying to be a nuisance down bot. Just stealing away creeps. It's just a little bit painful for Infinity, because you do worry about this Alc when it's ready to go.
Knight's going to cop a big stun out from Yuma. A lot of HP removal there on Knight, but yeah, he's okay to get out of this one as Copy now looking towards our Pangolier, but Pango's going to be just fine to escape. Meanwhile, bottom tier 1 tower still being chipped away at by Gunner. Of course, with the siege creep, they're going to have no problems taking this out. There'll be no trade either from Infinity's end. They do still hold on to their siege creep, so they could set up for a tier 1 top tower push, but it is going to be up against an Alchemist with max level acid sprays, so chances are they probably won't really be able to abuse the siege creep at all.
No. And that, again, they're just... It's a bit surprising they just constantly abandon this Yuma lane. They're not looking to try to commit with Illich, with the Urn of Shadows up, maybe wanting full Spirit Belts for first, which is flying out now. So at the very least has some ways of getting some heal reduction off. Still haven't seen the Rolling Thunder kick in yet. Although...
Right. Bushwhack was not on target. Disruption going to avoid the sharpshooter here, but Fly eventually will drop. Still gets the Demonic Purge off in time. But Pippi, plenty of mana to be able to zip away. And so there will be no trade from Nouns. They'll just have to let Fly die once again. It is still just a +5 Shadow Demon. It's not like they're really losing their tier 1 mid tower, so it's not the biggest deal.
No, certainly not. And again, this free space for Yuma is starting to ramp up. We have our Radiance up at 12.5 minutes in. So that's just set to escalate. You've had a lot of free space out for Gunner, although he was forced to rotate mid. But the aura play is slowly forming up as well for Visage. Drums up into the Crimson Guard next. And again, as long as he's CSing with the Soul Assumption, it's not going to take too long for that to start to rack up as well. They do manage to finally get some room to clear out top. Not going to be seeing that kill on Yuma. But they will make it a little bit less comfortable for the Alchemist to just sit back and farm. So that is a boon here for the side of Infinity, if they will want to try to hunt Yuma down. They have a few more openings lined up here. Costabile is still lagging behind in farm, but to do so again will just take some time. Oh.
Nice smoke break from Lelis. Oh, they know the Nyx Assassin is around here somewhere. Panda does have sentries, but doesn't really want to waste them. Lelis probably wouldn't really get caught out anyway. Meanwhile, mid lane though, Copy could be in a spot of danger, but he's got his whole team behind him. fact, Illich is going to jump in. Oh, Rolling Thunder never came off.
Lord.
And the Sonic Wave is going to come out, but he still makes it. He'll survive with the 1 charges. They'll move back in onto the Nyx Assassin, and Lelis is going to die, but they'll trade with the Pango. It's still a great trade here for Nouns. They want more, though. Panda, going to get stunned up. But it seems like Nouns, they'll see a TP from Costabile, and that's going to be enough to retreat. They got the positive trade anyway, so I think Nouns will be more than happy to just back off for now.
Definitely so. Great reveal from the Dagon for Copy. You managed to get that burst play out in Pango. You can see just how annoying Thunderbolt is, though. That increased speed makes it a lot easier to find chain stun opportunities. You don't need to be as tightly bound and in these spots where it's a little bit awkward because of the delay between your bounce back. It's much easier to just keep lining it up here on the Pango. They will smoke up once more on Infinity's end, start to get some information on that triangle as well. You know, Sonic Wave is down. The burst damage from Nouns isn't quite there at the moment if they can get an angle in.
Well, they're going to find themselves another Shadow Demon kill. Only a double stack of Ancients here, but they are still going to try and just take these away here, Infinity. And they'll get away with it. Of course, Nouns not going to bother trying to rotate to defend these stacks. It's just a double. Maybe they could try to hunt for Gunnar down to this bottom lane, but it's going to be a little bit tough because it's pretty obvious they are coming that way. So instead they'll try for Lelis by placing some sentries down, but Lelis will get out of the sentry range. And it seems that the Nyx is going to be okay to escape. In Infinity, they are still hanging about. Lelis going to run into Costabile. This will be a huge pick-off, and they might actually burst him down if Lelis wants to commit with Gunnar. But they're going to lose the Familiars, and they're not feeling confident to get this done, while the rest of Infinity are hanging about. So instead, Infinity going to TP out of there. And nothing comes of that rotation, apart from the SD kill.
And you're, again, very happy on Nouns. Just free space for Yuma. Even Costabile having to move around doesn't feel that great for Dedusa to have to be somewhat exposed. At least no punishment from Nouns for that time around.
Oh, they're going to find a nice kill on tonight. That's a killing spree being given in the way of Copy. Pippi.
PP?
He's alright, he'll zip away. He's by his tier 2 tower, but that mid tier 1 tower is starting to look like it might be going down as they are going to pop a Rolling Thunder and try to force a fight here in the Radiant jungle. Panda's the target. They'll go after the Nyx to boot. The Nyx going to be disrupted now. Lelis, though, still should go down eventually and does. Pippi, in the meantime, however, getting deleted by Copy and his Dagon. Not good news for Infinity. It's Illich turning back on a fly. Flies perfectly fine though, but you miss the Alchemist stun, who currently stuns himself. They'll try to move in on the Alchemist, see if they can burst him down with the break of the Sharpshooter, but the Sonic Wave, Copy trying to make the space. Illich moving back in, they'll both go down. Oh my, now Knight being chased up by Copy. He'll drop. Panda's still trying to fight. Copy's out of mana, but here comes Gunnar. He'll intervene on the Visages now. Costabile gonna show up to boot. Just everybody joining in this Radiant jungle. Sadly, there's no TP cancel here against Gunnar, so he's alright to get out. Who even won that fight, Jonathan?
Oh, it's a little bit tricky to say. Losing Yuma is pretty big in terms of net worth bounce back here for the side of Infinity, but you do manage to really apply the hurt onto PP. Loses some Galvanized stacks, a little bit less mana regen to play with. He does still have the full buyout on the Kaya, I do believe, still set up, so it's not as rough for the Storm, but...
Copy. Copy's currently stalking Illich, and well, you do have Lelis also doing the same. Spidey senses not tingling here for the Pango. He'll pop the Swashbuckle, and that's probably going to be his life. Or is it? He's pretty tanky with the shield crash. In fact, he's going to pop around with the Rolling Thunder now. Pippi going to rotate over, and Copy is gone. A big kill for Infinity now.
No Sonic Wave, no kill. And burst potential with level 1 Dagon's not that high, and they kind of whiff the combination just a bit there from Lelis. So they're not able to apply as much damage as they'd want onto the Pango. You can just see again how devastating Thunderbolt can be. Gunnar always under concentrate of losing his familiars as well. And they'll find punishment on tonight at the least, but...
Mid lane. Throw a cheeky Vessel charge onto Gunnar, but that's going to be about it. They still haven't really addressed the problem of Yuma, who is still farming. I mean, it almost seems like they just don't care at this point. Now, Yuma isn't really that far ahead. Like, he's 3k ahead of the Storm right now. It's nothing really to write home about yet.
Back to the fountain.
It's pretty big. You know, that's going to be a quicker BKB for Yuma, and it's at that point where you kind of do expect Nouns to maybe play a little bit more together, try to leverage this debuff immunity, and start to shut down the map a little bit more. The recovery has been there for Costabile.
Costabile, he's going to be fine. Dust was popped from Pippi, landing onto Lelis, and Lelis certainly going to die here. Or Pippi almost going down to the quap damage, but does barely manage to zip away. My goodness, that Dagon plus Sonic Wave is a scary, scary combination when you've also got the Kaya up. Now it's going to go for the mid-tier 1 tower, even though they're the ones that lost the support. Gunner, can they lock him down? Odds are no, he'll walk out of there. So the mid-tier 1 tower is lost, and all they really get for it is a Nyx Assassin kill.
Yeah. It's still hanging by a thread, but the deny is there at the very least to cut that gold away from Nouns. Nouns, for their part, 11-9, 3k lead still standing. Majority of that, again, on Yuma. The rest of the farm distribution on the map, relatively even across all our heroes. Just, again, the outlier here. So we have to see this investment on Yuma pay off. BKB flying in now. Although,
be very aggressive jump in. He's already found Fly on the Shadow Demon. Fly looking to get blown up immediately, and does with the Sharpshooter. Yuma, he's trying to find Pippi here, but I don't think he has enough damage on his own. He's forced to pop his BKB and try to run out of there. Zilich was just chasing him down, but now Pippi overstaying his welcome will also go down. Gunner able to secure the Storm Spirit Killers. Now Panda trying to get out with these Wisps, but it's not really going to help too much. He is dead. So a good start by killing off Fly, but they just kind of ran out of fuel midway through the fight.
I'm a little bit surprised that fight takes place right after all of those engagements on mid by the tier 1. You weren't fully reset on PP. I mean, he had enough mana from bottle top-ups, but not quite enough to really sustain that deep chase. And again, this BKB timing for Yuma just makes it extra difficult to try to hope to burst down the Alchemist, which was holding on to it for as long as possible, but they do manage to get some good punish. 4k lead still standing here for the side of Nouns. The big issue now for Nouns is they need to find a way to stop the Costabile's catch-up. He's going into the Scotty. He's going straight for just healing reduction to play into that Alchemist to stop Yuma from being effective. And it's just going to complicate how these fights break out for the side of Nouns. The aura play is there for Gunner. Again, Crimson Guard is up. I'm going for the Vlad's next. Wondering if a pipe is in the horizon as well. As Infinity are looking to try to smoke out. They do have good forward vision, but they don't have anything watching Roshan. And that's exactly where Nouns does want to play. They've got Roche clear, nice and fast with Alchemist. Well, not the quickest in the world, but certainly at a decent pace. The scan will reveal, but they are still relatively far from this one for Infinity, so they'll look for a little bit of a shove and pressure on that tier 2 for now.
That's certainly going to be a very easy Roshan take. Copy will be the one to take the Aegis for himself on this quap. Infinity, he's still buying plenty of time for Costabile. He's getting to that Eye of Skadi timing now on the Medusa, and that's when things might start to look a little bit problematic for the side of Nouns. Yuma working onto his Bloodthorn up next. So they'll go for a Tormentor for now. I wonder if Nouns slow down at all, or if they want to just keep moving. Seems like with the Aegis you do want to try and get a little bit active, but Yuma might at least stick around and just wait for the Orchid, and in fact he has it up now. It's just... No, he does not. Never mind. He just got rid of the Bloodthorn altogether, and he'll just farm up the Orchid instead.
Yeah. A little ways off. About 1,000 gold necessary for the Alch. Shouldn't take too much time for an Alchemist overall. And that should start align with maybe a few more items. Copy just lacking the recipe gold left for that BKB. And once you have that protection for the prop to initiate on, things start to really clear up. Because again, the big issue for Nouns is perhaps just this initiation angle. You have so many more ways of starting these fights on Infinity. With a Bushwhack, with a Zip, and the Vortex, with a roll that's available on Illich. So just many angles for Infinity, whereas for Nouns, their best play is really just probably a good stun setup from Lelis. And that is it. And that stun to break from invisibility as well, as just popping Vendetta right-click first does provide a lot of leeway actually for the side of Infinity to just bail out There's that BKB timing we were looking for on copy. So should lead to some more aggressive moves here from Nouns, but they're not going to commit to the bot. And they will actually just play it safe, maybe go on the hunt with the invis.
They're having a look around that Radiant jungle. Because Infinity, not interested in the fight right now. Again, their whole game is basically just buying Costabile as much time as he needs. And that is exactly what they'll try to do. Lilith's going to run almost into that T2 tower. Could have found Illich. In fact, they will scan out the Pengali. So they know somebody's farming below that tier 2 bottom tower. They'll move in immediately. Lilith to initiate. The Pengo caught out and silenced, and it's going to be a very quick kill here for Nouns. And that'll ensure they can take this tier 2 bottom tower.
It maybe goes off a little bit slower than you'd want it to, but they will at least get some reactions out. Even the quick movement out from Copy to try to take care of mid with these Deuce illusions just shoving in. And not giving any leeway to Infinity to try to get anything done in the map while this occurs. Tier 2 will fall. And you still have a good 2 minutes left on the Aegis of Copy. Going for the Octarine next on our Quap. Lines drawn top. Want to find some punish for Panda being so far forward here.
They won't though, Panda. Able to run. Will TP away and they will not catch him. The Costabile is right by Yuma. They won't run into each other though. Yuma is going to run north and Costabile will run south. Yuma does have the full Bloodthorn completed. Meanwhile, Costabile looking to work towards a butterfly build up on the Medusa. Costabile has basically been uncontested this whole game as well. Like, he's 0-0-1 in scoreline right now. So he's had one assist the whole time, but that's about it. It has been a relatively free game for the Medusa, but Nouns, they have been trying to kill this man a couple times, and it just hasn't worked out for him. Whether it becomes a problem later on is only yet to be seen.
I think there's some mild concern. You do have ways of bursting down the mana pool again with something like Nyx, but it does feel like the Deuce is just, it's going to be able to scale up quite nicely. I don't know, like, it's a tough call. Like, especially as this butterfly starts to get formed up, you're going to need a way to just pierce through the evasion. Lining up here for Yuma. The Bloodthorn can take care of that, but there is, again, Manta still left here for Costabile to bail out on. There's some counterplay options. It's really just down to how you find these angles. And I feel like, again, the angles for Infinity are just easier to work out. You've got Blink Up on Illich. You've got this fast-rolling Pangolier that can just be highly disruptive. For now, it's heavily reliant on either a Blink stun out from Yuma or just Lullis again, scouting around in Vendetta. And that's just, it's much more limited from Nouns to try to force these fights as it goes on. A 5k lead for an Alchemist draft, 26 minutes is when things maybe don't feel as amazing for Nouns. It's again, a heavy investment onto Yuma alone. They will smoke into each other here as Aegis expires.
Copy's going to run right into Pippi. Pippi just zipping right past him, but the BKB is out from Copy. Meanwhile, Yuma is going to run right into the Pangolier. They want to blow him up ASAP, but it's not quite enough yet. Illich will survive and get the Rolling Thunder off. As now Copy in pretty big trouble. Does go down the Quap, and Yuma, he's a bit of a sitting duck now on the Alk. Well, the patience of Infinity certainly looking like it's paid off here as Nouns. They'll feed 2 core lives away. It costs Infinity absolutely nothing. And that's a huge loss for Nouns.
I'm a bit surprised these 2 cores forced that fight out. They didn't have anyone close by. Lullis wasn't quite in the angle to try to get that burst play. They need everyone on hand to try to sneak in. Again, the initiation angles are just awkward. You don't have that full Bloodthorn just yet. Damage output on the Alchemist is just a little bit lacking, even with just the Orchid. Couldn't even burst down Illich. Fairly tanky with that full pipe up on Pangolier. And now you don't have that net worth lead. Again, it felt like Nouns needed to maybe find a little bit more. And just the way you have to take these fights is, it's not the simplest way for Nouns.
They're going to find Lilith as well. A very easy kill for Pippi. Of course, top tier 2 tower going to be targeted now by Infinity. They already got rid of that mid tier 2 tower, and Nouns certainly looking like they're on the back foot at this stage. Like, you are getting to a stage where the net worth is about to swing back the way of Infinity. That is never good news when you're playing an Alchemist. And quite frankly, the win probability has basically always been in Infinity's favor. So it just seems as though Nouns may just have not done enough with this draft to really kind of make it look good, as Panda will get ganked up on the edge. Does have a TP available, but oh, he might actually make it out. Yuma will stun himself. Panda still healing up through all this, but eventually he should die. Panda sprints away, but Yuma's got him this time. There's a lot of commitment for a +5 bench, but you'll get there.
I mean, three core commitment just for that one pesky Enchantress is not a good sign for now. And so you'll take what you can get at this point, but it's pretty costly as a time commitment. Again, that's time where the other cores of Infinity are farming up, nice and safe. Costabile with that full butterfly just has, again, it's that EHP spike here for the Dusa. As long as the Blood Torrent doesn't get activated on him, he's kind of happy. And whether or not Yuma can even gap close to that Dusa to get the Blood Torrent off after a Manta usage remains to be seen, as Costabile has been playing very far back most of the time here. And this early gem pickup on PP as well ensures that the counter in Lelis just never comes into play. Like, he needs to sneak up, he needs to try to get the hit into a stun, into a Spike Carapace use, or just Spike Carapace in when he sees an overload up. None of that's lining up. Just, again, from the way Infinity's playing, from their itemization, from this early gem pickup, I don't know how Nouns can kind of bounce back from this. I mean, there's some scaling still left. Gunner is going for the AC, and Drum Boot's still available to go into as well. Octarine for copy has barely made any progress in the last few fights. Infinity confident enough to try to take a smoke out here. Again, everything's up. Angles for these fights just so simple to find.
There is one answer I can see, and that's Lelis building an Aghanim Scepter, which is already queued up. Like, that Burrow plus the level 15 talent on Nyx Assassin, Mind Flare becomes a 4-second cooldown, and the damage output does get ridiculous against Storm Medusa. Like, they will run out of mana very fast if he's able to spam a few of those Mind Flares throughout the fights.
That is true. My concern is that only really works best on high ground. Maybe some of these scattered fights, but that also means you're not going to be initiating with Lelis, because if he's going to walk up Vendetta Strike, or just walk up and try to burrow, they have Gem on Storm. That's your primary target anyway, so you have to play further back. Your initiation switches fully onto Yuma alone, and again, it's very hard for the Alk to just all in. Doesn't feel like that burst damage is on hand, so I'm not sure if the Axe is going to be enough. It's going to help best high ground. In some fights, it can be impactful, but it's fights where you have to bait Infinity in. And with how Infinity's been playing, it's been very disciplined so far. So they need to find a way to actually utilize that timing when it is up. They'll try to smoke out here on Nouns. They've got that AC up and running on Gunner. Just a matter of, can they find a jump? Good positioning here from Infinity to break the smoke under a ward as well.
Very awkward kind of situation here to fight underneath this vision of Infinity. They'll try to de-ward it, and they do get it off, but Copy going to reveal his position. Disruption will be committed from Fly pretty early on to save. Meanwhile, Yuma jumping in right onto Illich has found the Pangali. That's a great start for Nouns. They look to retreat though. Costabile looking to run in, trying to find himself a target. But the reset and the reinitiation coming from Nouns now. Where do they go though? Pippi's out of mana. That'd be a great target if they could get close to him, but Costabile is warding them off. That Copy's taking a lot of damage, but they'll make the jump in. The Medusa out of mana and is gone. Costabile cannot survive that many heroes at once. Panda left behind. And they'll save Pippi, but it's cost them way more than it should have. And suddenly Nouns, they've found a way back into this game.
I'm surprised again from Infinity. They've been working together as a unit well, but this time around, the zip comes out from PP. Illich doesn't necessarily commit to follow through, just straight up trying to, just pop the Rolling Thunder with the Thunderbolt, try to scout forward. They saw the ward being dropped. They knew that the smoke play was happening, and they just lose that position. Very rough fight for Infinity. Great angles out from Nouns, just making it super awkward, playing in and out of that area of vision, still keeping their smokes up as well. Only really the ward pop, or the ward being dropped, that reveals that smoke out. And Nouns still get to play with their power spike. They have the secondary life ready on Yuma. You can see how much damage this Alchemist does have on hand, and you can just fully commit onto a fully stunned up Pango. The damage output, not quite at max yet for Dedusa either, as the Radiance is causing some issues, so it's going to be an MKB next for Dedusa, but still a ways off from that. Now it's 7k lead back, again, on an ALK draft. That's almost like the bare minimum you want to be, but you certainly have gotten value out now.
I do appreciate the switch up as well from Lelis, by the way. He does end up getting a Blink Dagger instead of the Ags now, seeing as they did get that successful team fight. So just wants the Blink up instead. Doesn't need the Ags anymore. Probably will re-queue it if they are afraid of losing this game, but ultimately for now, there's just no necessity for that itemization. This Tormentor does get taken by Infinity. They'll get a free shards up on Illich now. But Nouns looking a lot more confident, eyeing out that mid-tier 2 tower, or at least Yuma is. They'll get some vision into that Radiant Triangle as well, just to make sure nobody can sneak up from the back. Zip in from Pippi, pretty far from Yuma. Yuma gonna get jumped. Yuma in fact dropping quite low, but does have the Aegis. Hasn't popped Chemical Rage yet either, and there you go, a big Sonic Wave. Pippi! Pippi is down. Lelis will take him out. They do at least get the Aegis of the Alchemist, but what's it gonna cost them? It's already cost them a mid-storm. Nouns will chase for more now. Yuma just blinking right into the tier 3 tower. And he's taken down Knight so fast. They'll move on to the Ench, but she's a bit too tanky, I do believe, as Costabile now doing a lot of damage to Yuma. He will be able to retreat though. They'll move back into the tier 2 mid-tower. And Pippi just, again, getting a little bit excited. Does get taken out.
And there's just a little bit of disconnect coming out here from Infinity in terms of how they want to take these fights. And Nouns are starting to show much cleaner execution coming out. They're using Yuma's bait quite nicely. Fly's always in position to save. The durability coming out from the Auras of Gunner are stalling out all of these engagements quite nicely as well. And the switcheroo for Lelis. Like, again, when it comes down to just how you're supposed to take these fights, there's a lot of reliance on that Nyx. The Blink does allow them to be more active on Nouns at the cost of defense, like you mentioned there. So it just gives them more play. I like this overall from Nouns. It's down to Infinity, right? Like 9k deficit up against an Alk at 35 minutes. It's not unplayable. Equal net for it across all the other cores outside of the Alchemist right now. You've got the MKB timing here now for Costabile. So he can just rip this Alk to shreds, even with a Radiance up. Just maybe needs a Daedalus to come out next, and you're pretty set on your Medusa at that point, with maybe just like Ags and Shard that you could look for afterwards. For the side of Nouns, I mean, without the Aegis, without that security, they will have to play a little bit safer, of course. Just going to try to keep this farm game up. You can start to consider, you know, you were saying Lelis has to buy his own Ags. Once Yuma's done with Swift Blink, you could just start to consider gifting the Ags for, you know, damage bonus, spell amp on Alchemist anyhow. He's going to run out of slots. Moonshard could be nice considering his BAT, but maybe unnecessary in comparison to how much Ags provides them in this game. Like, Ags on Gunner allows another angle to initiate, right? Invisibility on Familiars, allowing him to stun out, although...
Illich, is this paid? No, it's not. Illich is down. Just trying to get that bottom creep wave, but it costs him his own life, and now Copy's looking for more. But move on to Panda. Panda's going to TP out just fine. Yuma, in the meantime, I believe, have spotted Pippi underneath his own vision, so stun is going to fly out, and the Sonic Wave is going to be enough. Oh boy, Infinity making a couple of small errors here, and it is costing them. It's making a lot of issues. In fact, Yuma maybe getting close to Costabile, but won't quite move onto the high ground. Still, Nouns have to be happy. 2 more cores down for nothing.
Yeah, it's all freebies from the side of Nouns. Infinity just playing very fragmented right now. Trying to play greedy, trying to farm up as well, not respecting, say, that forward area on the bot lane, where outpost control was still there. You only had an inch backing you up to try to save Illich, just not enough to try to save out. And the high ground siege begins without the threat of the roll for a little bit longer. They've got their opening here.
They're going to start. Oh, look at that mana pool. Costabile already losing half of it just from a mile away. They'll still get to work, just dealing with the familiars. Lelis will get caught. Vendetta not going to save him yet. Big Sonic Wave out from Copy, landing on 3 targets, but nobody's dying. Everyone's fine. In fact, Copy's the one that needs to get the hell out of there. He'll blink out, but the chase is on from Costabile, and Copy still has another blink. Fly, he might be the one to get left behind here on the Shadow Demon. That'll be alright for Nouns if he dies. And in fact, he won't even. He gets within the fog, and he'll TP out just fine. So they'll only lose Lilith.
A big win for the side of Nouns. Them forcing high ground without Aegis is already kind of nutty considering what we see in these matches. They managed to force out a lot of commitment from the side of Infinity. Rolling Thunder not the longest cooldown, but you know, just threatening and keeping Infinity stuck here, only finding a Nyx for their trouble. More than happy. You still have room to grow, of course. Again, the Swift Blink for Yuma lining up here. You've got the Kaya Sange for copy. Unfortunately, no stat res, but a little bit more HP for the cop to play with up front is always a welcome thing, and the slow resist can be kind of nice as well when you're playing into the Dusa. So there is some utility coming out there. I'm just very keen on seeing if we will see Yuma start to gift out Ags. I don't know. I just feel like the potential for Copy to get... Well, he already has his Ags, unfortunately. Maybe the potential for Gunner, again, to get a free Ags is kind of nice, especially with a Sight of Vice finished up. Silent as the Grave with Invis, with a Hex on Gunner, with a Chain Stun from Familiars. You can start to line up even easier kills. Just more angles down the line there. If Yuma manages to reach that point, if this game stalls out long enough. And he is going for the Ags. So, time for everyone else to scale once that is up. No, he switches back. Aw. Into a Strength Blink now. Got me excited for a moment.
Dire are scanning.
It's alright, you know, these Alchemist players will find any reason not to hand Ags over. What can you do?
Unless it's Pros 4, if you remember those days in Southeast Asia.
I do.
Those were tremendous times. Great times.
They really were. 35 seconds till we find out when the next Roshan is going to spawn up. So if you are this Radiant side, you really don't want to give up this next Roshan because it almost guarantees high ground for Nouns. So Infinity, we'll see if they can kind of intervene in this next Roshan fight. And Constabile is still farmed like an absolute machine, and he's still hitting like a truck. It's just not enough if they get the jump. Like, Yuma is hitting a lot harder right now than this Alchemist. And so, top T2 tower is what Nouns will focus on. We'll see if Roshan's going to be a quick timer as well. Oh, it's instant. Literally 0 seconds.
Wow. Oh, that's a massive tool as well for Infinity. Full Ags up on PP. So now they've got some AoE hold on hand outside of the reliance on Rolling Thunder. And they're actually pressuring tier 3s here on Infinity's end. But side of Nouns, well, they have to make that choice now.
Well, it seems like Gunner's going to rotate over at the least. They'll bring a little bit more to boot. Gunner, he'll chase them off. Yuma will TP back towards his own base. So they're not going to continue committing for that top tier 3 tower. Instead, they're going to go for the fight. Gunner's been caught out, though. Gunner is gone. A great start here for Infinity. They're looking at Fly now, and Fly, trapped within his own disruption, cannot make it out of this one. He is also dead, and there's no buybacks. Neither kill has buyback. Well, this is concerning if you're a Nouns fan. Tier 3 tower now under siege once again.
That was a bit strange from Gunner. He was running forward by his lonesome. None of his other cores were nearby him. He should have expected him right in the triangle, watching that ramp, and he just dies. That's 1 Rax, maybe even just 2 off the back of this.
Oh, nice little blow up there on a Panda. They will at least find an inch for their trouble, but Pippi's got the Ags up, so the AoE Vortex is out. Nobody dying from Nouns, and it seems like Infinity might be forced to retreat. So 1 Rax down, an extra tier 3 tower on top. But it's far from game over.
Certainly not. It's just surprising that Infinity are allowed to take the first Rax of the game, considering how well Nouns has been playing around without even the Aegis. Like, slow to respond in that TP for Nouns. Gunner running in again by himself, not able to even micro the Familiars forward as well to scout forward first. Just trying to maybe catch someone out before they TP home. And now Infinity has the opening for Roche themselves. Aegis, Banner, Shard, and Cheese on hand here. It's going to be a bit challenging for Nouns. They will try to smoke into that position. Roche is following relatively quick.
They might be forced to fight into the Aegis. I mean, Nouns revealing they are by the creep wave. Roshan will go the way of Infinity. The question is, do they still want to force a fight? The answer's looking like it's probably going to be a bit of a yes here for Nouns. So they will scout out Costabile. Keep in mind, you've got to deal with him twice now. Costabile just going to get back to farming. He's not too concerned. But Rolling Thunder is going to be committed. They will move in, already finding Lelis and Copy. This will be a big pick-off on the quad, but the BKB is out. Panda about to die, but not quite. Instead, they'll get Knight. There goes Panda to boot. Already 2 down here for Infinity, but they're buying back on their at least 1 support. Meanwhile, this Medusa, Costabile, runs out of mana for his first life, looking like he's in pretty big trouble, and he's gone. Illich also in huge trouble. Going down surely to this Medusa Illusions and doesn't drop. It's Pippi, still trying to fight. He's out of BKB though. Pippi's down. Costabile is the only one left. And Costabile, he will join his team. It's a full team wipe.
I love that from Nouns. That is just very smart positioning, very smart target prioritization in this fight. They just completely ignored Dusa for the most part, get some pot shots in from Lelis to melt the mana, and some soul assumptions out from Gunnar, but they don't really commit on the Dusa. Instead, they focus on those supports, they focus on the Pangolier as well. They ensure that there's no bushwhack to have to play into. PP is zipping around trying to lock targets in. We saw a very late BKB usage out from Yuma, just paying off massively as well. And just a lot of issues lining up there for the side of Infinity. You can see in this highlight again, like the Deuce is just completely ignored. She's holding a dead center position. It was a great rollout from Illich, but it gave enough room for the rest of the cores of Nouns to just not care about this big target.
Yeah, and flying with the disruption, just having those Medusa illusions, just dealing so much damage back the way of the Medusa, and just too much to deal with now as Costabile going to try and defend, but they've already lost the top melee barracks. They're looking to lose the mid one as well. Here comes Copy just jumping in onto Panda once again, just being a nuisance. Copy will lose his courier, so that was the Kaya Sanj going down the toilet for a few minutes, but that's okay. 1 melee barracks and 1 range barracks standing in the mid and the top lane. As Nouns, they fake back. They're coming back in. Surprise. There goes your mid melee barracks. Only 1 range racks left. The thing is, like, Fly again, if he lands these disruptions in the Medusa mid-team fight, the amount of damage Costabile does to himself is pretty insane.
And it is. It's at this point, maybe Costabile should consider just dropping the disperser, because he's hurting himself twice over with those illusions.
Yeah.
It's actually insane that this is just happening over and over. And I think Infinity, they had that great moment bot, they got some good punishment out, they got the first set of racks. And we're seeing maybe some of those same mistakes we were seeing in the earlier portion of the mid-game, earlier portion of the late game there, where it's a little bit fragmented in the fight. Like, they had this idea jumping in with Illich first, with them taking initiative on the side of Infinity.
I thought they might have made the jump in there, John. Costabile was pretty far forward. He does queue up a Divine, by the way, on this Medusa, which I suppose it is around that time. You are almost against Megas, so time to get that Divine Rapier, pick up and go all in. What is it with Nouns games and always being so damn good? Like, it's always so close with these guys.
Yeah, it feels like you never know what you're going to get with Nouns sometimes. They're like a box of chocolates, I hear. Is what it is. I'm sure you know a lot of Nouns. Yeah, of course. Got to get some Americana in. You know?
Absolutely.
I love movies, Michael Phoenix.
Well, you don't watch them, John. You watch clips on YouTube like an idiot.
Hey, I actually did watch Forrest Gump, alright? It's one of my childhood movies. I don't know why my mom made me watch such a depressing film as a kid.
Maybe she's trying to give you tips, John. You just follow what Forrest did, John. You'll be right.
I mean, looking back, a lot of the films I did watch were probably not the happiest films for a child, Michael Phoenix. Don't make the same mistake with your baby, you know? She wants to be happy.
Oh,
Good jump from Lelis.
Oh, it's a great jump. Yuma. Costabile is still fine. Yuma was unable to get him within range, but he's going for the range barracks instead top lane. They might have actually been able to kill the Medusa in that situation, but they want the Mega Creeps instead. They want to play safe, and that's fine. Mega Creeps now ain't coming. Pippi trying to jump in with the AoE Vortex on a Copy. Copy turns back around, and Pippi is down. Lelis is just doing so much damage on this Nyx Assassin now with these Mind Flares. Jump in on Gunnar, but he'll go into the Stone form as Copy drops the Sonic Wave, but it doesn't really hit on much. Gunner, he'll get the reset now, coming back out of that stone form, but still is in trouble. Here comes Yuma jumping right into the Medusa, though Yuma's taking a lot of damage. He might need a way out, but he's down.
Oh.
He is down. Another AoE Vortex. Pippi, he'll find a couple targets here. Copy, he'll get locked down, and the Quap is gone now. Oh, here we go, Jonathan. Lelis, he'll try to blink away. Pippi's on the chase, though he is out of mana. And they do have the dust. Lelis will drop. Is there space to make something happen here?
You're up against Megas. You've got the Deuce advantage. You've got the Divine Gold ready on Costabile if he wants to commit at this point, which I feel like you ought to. And it looks like he will, perhaps, at this point. I don't know if you can actually shove out hard enough here on the side of Infinity to get an opening and try to force buybacks, but you have enough room to get some items flowing in. Lincoln's up on Illich to protect from the jumps in. Gonna be a massive thing to save. There's that Divine we were talking about for Costabile. Does commit fully. So the damage output of the Deuce skyrockets, but that also, again, is a little bit concerning if Fly does manage to get the disruptions out. And again, they're pushing up against Megas. They have to watch their side lanes. They're already trying to control it with Pipu, at least on the top lane. So let's see what they can get done. Buybacks already on 2 cores. No Nyx for 20. That's the big one.
Everyone's gonna be just fine for now. Costabile looking for that mid-ranks. Should have them no issues. That'll be like a freebie here for Infinity. And they understand this, of course. You are going to have your out back up. They will retreat. They'll take what they can get. And in fairness, now Infinity are 1 racks away from having Mega Creeps themselves. So if they can get through the top lane and secure the tier 3 tower and barracks, then we've got it basically an even game again. At least in terms of the map.
And we do. We get the gifted Ags flying out now from Yuma. Gifting the first Ags to Copy to just sell off his own Ags, I suppose. A rather interesting choice rather than gifting, I don't know. Maybe Lelis with a little bit more, although only find an illusion. Rather unfortunate. Even the Ags on Fly might have been a little bit more impactful with 2 charges up on Purge and Cleanse, but the refund on Copy will at least lead into a Wind Waker, so some more saving options here for Nouns. 500 gold away from buyback for Copy. Roshan probably the next flashpoint as well for both of these sides. And Nouns again still has a little bit more reach with Mega Creeps up against Super Creeps on 2 lanes. So you're still in a happy enough position for Nouns. This game is getting rather complicated though. Again, like with the Lincolns up and Illich, with the AoE Vortex, it is annoying. You do have a way of stopping that damage output on your Deuce. And now a Halberd out for Yuma.
We have another early Roshan timer as well here, John. It was a 25-second timer on this Roshan. So Roshan really showing up in this game today, just not interested in not being home. So here we go. We'll see if Nouns scouted out though, because last time around they missed out on the Roshan. They still won the fight after Roshan, so I guess it didn't really matter. But they were not anticipating the literal immediate respawn last Rosh, but this time they've got it. Roshan is spotted by Fly, and they will start it immediately.
Now Infinity are just not in position to try to take that. Again, they have to constantly correct these lanes up against the Megas. No Roar, as again Roche wasn't taken by Nouns last time around. Aegis onto Copy. And they've got the banner on hand, Cheese on hand for Lelis as well. And this could break into the last fight. You don't quite have buyback gold on Costabile. You don't have buyback as well. And PP, it's a bit of a challenge here. Infinity have to execute quite clean if they want to have some hope to leverage this Dusa Divine Rapier on hand here.
Even an Aghanim Scepter coming out soon on Costabile. Trying to buy himself as much utility as possible on this Medusa. Now, Mystic Snake Ags upgrade can be pretty big. And there you go. He'll have it up now. Now, it's not looking to rush high ground. Of course, they respect the Medusa high ground defense, but it seems like the side of Infinity are trying to move in. They will smoke up as 5. Rolling Thunder was popped very early by Illich, and, well, sadly, it is going to be completely wasted. Though I don't think anyone from Nouns saw it on the bright side.
Yeah. So they'll still be thinking twice on Nouns. Still take their time overall. Good forward vision at very least being planted here by Infinity, watching the triangle just a little bit more outside of sentry range. So they have a rough idea where Nouns is camping around on. But, you know, Infinity's really just stuck in one position anyhow. And Panda is trying to get some extra farm here at the very least.
Oh, he's going to find some. Even more halberds being built up. Now we've got one being built on Lelis, so just really trying to make this Medusa's life a living hell. Where do they go? I mean, Nouns heading down towards the bottom lane this time around. They'll see Costa Biele. Can they get the surprise jump? They're going to try. Copy immediately in on his own. He'll have to win Waker away, though. Not the initiation he wanted.
The Mindbreaker just kind of messing him up. Instant silence, can't quite get the combination off.
Lelis, stun is out. They'll break the Lincolns of Costa Biele. He's still fine though. In fact, Copy's the one in a bit of danger, but the Wind Waker will save. As now Yuma jumps right in, trying to find Knight, but Knight does make it out with the Glimmer Cape and Yuma. He's the one dropping a little bit low here with the Spirit Vessel. Pippi's going to jump in for the Vortex. Disruption will save Yuma. Meanwhile, Costa Biele, he's gone. The Sonic Wave connecting from Copy, and they've wiped him out. There's 2 down without buyback. Panda at least will protect the Divine Rapier. Or, well, he won't. His body's right in front of it. But nobody's picked it up. GG is called. And Nouns, they successfully secure game number 1.
Close affair between Infinity and Nouns. Again, maybe a couple...
Don't know the initial sentence, though. I'm sure it was something friendly. Seems like you agrees.
It's all friendly. You know, just because I'm Filipino doesn't mean I can read Spanish. That was 300 years ago. 300 years ago. Well, not 300 years ago, but 100 years ago. Yeah, 100 years ago, Mike.
Thank you for the history lesson, John. Appreciate it. I was going to ask if you knew what they were saying. I'm not going to lie.
No clue this time around.
Okay. That's all right. I never asked you as well. I mean, you were very impressed by the Razor last pick, but did you have an overall preferred draft? If you had to pick?
If I had to pick, I'd lean towards Nouns. I feel like it's just safer to go for something that scales longer, considering how many mistakes can be made on high ground. But I do feel like the tempo is there for Infinity, especially if PP does manage to work this lane matchup, and if he manages to just work out with the Sand Shroud, you know, just try to zone out, ensure that Copy has to waste quite a fair few sentries on mid, and they're constantly dewarded. The Sand King can farm up into the point where you get some good connections done with the Bristle timing and with the early durability of the Visage. So tempo is kind of more favorable on Infinity's end, but scaling is just a lot better on Nouns. I think that's a concern going forward. Like for Infinity, it kind of hinges again on how much PP can get out of this lane, how fast we can see this blink out on Knight, and plus for Bat. Mid lane matchup for PP, I mean, he's holding on to the skill point. He's trying to see how far Copy will push himself. And I believe the most normal build nowadays is a 1-3-1 build, especially with a Sand Shroud, so nothing too fancy here, just AoE control and farm.
Well, bottom lane already a bit of a rough time for Yuma. Of course, Illich able to just spam out those soul assumptions over and over again, and the level 1 timing of the Visage is very annoying to do. Laning stage wise, just constant spam coming in, and there's just not much you can do about it as the position 1.
No. It's a lot of poking prodding, of course. And again, you've got the Bat Rider support that can just slowly poke away, spam out the Flame Break. Sure, there's a constant source of Soul Assumption charges there. They're still hanging around at mid, as again, it's tougher for PP. Early sentry already committed from Copy, so he's just able to harass out. Taking a look at that top lane now. You do have Costa Biele and Panda, a very durable lane for sure, right? Bristle Omni, it's double melee into Mars. You can look to run down. The Degen Aura is going to be quite annoying to try to disengage. But with Spear back and God's Rebuke, the chase down isn't easy to commit. Their own sources of slow as well. Perhaps by a level 3 or level 4 timing here from Costa Biele, you can consider that.
Well, Panda taking a bit of damage, though has not been hit by one of the brambles, so is going to be okay to escape. Gunnar did try to knock him into the bramble with the God's Rebuke, but Sadly, just was not enough distance moved for Panda to really land in it. It's a nice attempt from Nouns, but does not work out. Costabile, I mean, at the very least with the bristleback, he understands he just wants to hit his timings. I don't really see Costabile getting too aggressive here, because like you said, you've always got the spearback play from Gunner. As I think as Costabile, as long as he gets his farm, he's not going to care to try and be too aggressive.
Yeah, just needs to kind of soak up, get his own level spikes going. And again, you can sustain quite nicely in this lane. Panda just back to full HP. No concerns out there after committing some regen on hand. Still, again, taking Gander down bot. You are still seeing that aggressive positioning out from Knight. They can always just cut off when Yuma's trying to clear out the pulse. You are giving a lot of space out to Illich to just soak up some free XP. Just about to hit level 3. And that can be a nice big one here for the Visage with level 2 Soul Assumption up and running.
Copy taking a fair bit of damage in the mid lane. It's fine over the water runes. Copy did pick up the initial one and does get the other one to boot. Pippy's going to try and punish him for this, though. There is a full creep wave following Copy, but he does get a very nice static link off, and Pippy's the one to actually get punished as Copy just deals so much damage with that static link. And still gets a double wave going his way, so plenty of farm on the way here for the mid lane of Nouns.
Yeah, and just going to be very easy for Copy to secure those CS as well. The link damage does disappear, but it's very difficult to play this lane as a Sand King focused on the Sandstorm. Copy can sit back outside of range. Again, he has the Sentry, although it is cleared out by PP. The Plasma Field does allow some poke back for Copy as well. And without the gap-closing threat of, say, the burst damage from Stinger, Copy's more than willing to just hold his position right on the edge of the Sandstorm every single time to maximize what he has. So, not as smooth going on mid as you'd want it to be for a Sand King for sure. So far, laning-wise, we are seeing a little bit more coming out from Nouns, but you're also finding quite a fair bit here for the side of Infinity. The top lane, again, Costabile can't really be contested out of this lane. Is all out of mana, but at least has some stick charges on hand, although.
Well, Panda, nice speed back from Gunner into the tree line, but not quite into the tier 1 tower, so Panda is still able to walk out of there, and Costabile was ready to help out whenever necessary. That is just the deal. I think for Infinity, like, Costabile is the key to making this draft work. As long as he's having a good lane, I'm sure the rest of the team will be just fine to catch up. It hasn't been too one-sided either way either, right? Like, mid lane has fallen pretty far behind the Razor. Bottom lane, though, is still going relatively well for Infinity, as Illich is finding plenty of farm on this Visage. So all things being said and done, I think Infinity's still on pretty even ground, apart from the mid lane. But that's a pretty big outmatch when it comes to the heroes.
Yeah, you can always kind of recover here for PP through stacks anyhow, once you start building that up still. Starting to get some shoving out. No early movement from Lulz to fully commit, just kind of checking around. There is vision here from the side of Infinity watching that rotation. Just dropped down by Panda. Very fresh ward to have on hand. I think the one thing that you will have to watch out for from Nouns are those stack plays, right? Like if Knight manages to get a lot more stacks, if he's able to clear out some of them himself, get a quick blink timing, or just hand it over to PP for his own timings, that's when things can maybe get a little bit rougher here.
Top lane, Lilith has rotated once again. They could think about going for Panda, but doesn't seem like they're too confident in their damage output. As a first blood yet to be drawn in this game too. You know, I mean, I suppose the most action has been happening in the mid lane, but a Copy can't really deal with the Sandstorm of Pippi. Here comes Fly. But Fly's just here to secure the power root. Pippi's actually going to turn around for it and does not pick it up because Fly does take it away. But Pippi will just be able to just burrow strike onto the high ground of the Dire Triangle and will still be okay to retreat. But a lot of emphasis being placed here from Nouns to ensure that Pippi cannot get those bottle refills ever. In fact, so far, Pippi's only gotten one water rune. So that should tell you something.
I like that read from Nouns. And they understand the importance of the Sand King going off to a strong start, because on a slow start, it can just sit back and farm. Like, it's not going to provide that connection you'd want for Costabile. The Visage alone might not be enough either, considering how you have to play around with this kind of draft. Your jump in is a Batrider and the Sand King, both need Blink. So cutting off at least one core Blink is going to buy you a lot of time here on Nouns to try to reach parity with your own item and level spikes. and you're more than happy to just get those rotations mid every single time to get that done. Early level 6 already up in Copy. You have level 6 already up on PP, but he is still holding on to the skill point to see what he can get away with. There are some top jungle stacks at the very least they can clear out here. And some good farm for the Sand King to already find very early on. Hard to scout out as well. And very secure for PP to get some initial tools up. Phase Boots and Windlay still being lined up, but I'm curious to see if he feels like he needs to prioritize Blink this game. Without the Dust Devil facet, it does feel like the Blink's a little bit more important for this kind of Sand King.
Yeah, and I'd say Infinity are going to be looking to play around the spike of Costabile, which should be in roughly 10 minutes or so, if anything. So I'd say the Blink option is probably the better option. But in fact, he's going for an Aghanim Scepter build-up as, well, Copy going to ensure Knight gets denied off to some Ancient Creeps. Doesn't quite find the kill he wanted, but gets some nice scouting on the Dire Triangle. And if you can find a way to take all these stacks away from Costabile, you're going to be very happy as Nouns. The issue is they don't really have the heroes to do it, apart from maybe Yuma and this MOUZ. And right now, they're not quite ready to get there.
Not quite. They at least take the large camp. They do manage to find themselves a Dark Troll Summoner as well, so they could look for a bit of a siege onto the mid. This Ags build-up onto Sand King's rather interesting. It does make sense with a Bristleback, considering, again, maybe a lot of Viscous Nasal Goo in the middle, lots of minus armor. It's a lot of physical output with the Stingers being spammed out in Epicenter. So that could be one way to go about it here for PP, considering that. Let's see if he will commit.
And they're going to throw a Cursed Crown onto Pippi. But he's right by the Tier 1 tower, so no real dive in. Looks like Fly was trying to abuse the Dark Troll Summoner to just get some chip damage off, but it's just not much damage. Not right now, not while the Sand King's still there defending. And we are yet to see a first blood. 9 minutes in. Both sides still just sitting back and farming. And, well, you know, props to Nouns. They have been trying. Infinity, though, again, just buying space for Costabile. That's all that matters. Just allow the Bristleback to be online. Here we go. They'll jump Costabile now. Repel is out, though, from Panda. With a lot of damage being taken here by Copy. But they won't have enough to finish off Costabile yet, as Pippi's going to move in now with the Epicenter, but it doesn't really do too much against Gunnar. The Burrow Strike, however, will. Gunnar is gone. First blood will go the way of the Sand King, as even Yuma shows up now. Yuma will find Panda. The turnaround now for Copy onto Costabile, and Costabile! Oh, no. Well, I was about to say it was a great fight for Infinity, but you lose your Omni Knight and your Bristle, and now maybe even Illich getting caught in the visage to make matters even worse for Infinity. That is really something you did not want to see from the Tyrant.
Certainly not. Managed to scout out the medium camp stacks as well, right behind the
Pippi
Tier 1.
as well? I mean, Pippi's alright for now. In fact, it's Lelis that's in trouble. Copy's going to dig up a water rune in the meantime, but cannot save Lelis. So at least they get a Lelis kill.
Not the biggest thing in the world, considering what you're losing up top. Fly does get taken out as well.
He almost got the TP away. I think he was like 0.3 seconds off or something.
Yeah, it's an important kill to find, though. Like every single one Costabile finds does end up accelerating this Ags timing we're seeing here from our Pause 1 Bristle. I will say it is mildly awkward for the Bristle into Razor. You know, you have to be concerned about static link. The minus armor from Eye of the Storm early on for the Bristleback does kind of remove the impact of Bristleback anyhow. Like, with so much minus armor, you're still going to be melting with a few Thunder Strikes out from that Razor. And it just makes it not feel as durable. Do get the go-ahead to head back into this game 3-3, rather even back and forth. Costabile is still #1 in net worth, but Yuma's not lagging too far behind, and the Luno can keep up in that farm pace. I do see that PP has gone back for the Blink queued up instead, so realizing even if he went for Ags, he has no gap close, so we will have to get the Blink up first before you can consider something like the Agnes, but they will be able to clear out their stacks, knowing that the side of Nouns did scout out earlier. And the Ancients, much more valuable here, is accelerating that timing for PP. Just 200 gold away from that Blink now. So off the back of this next camp should have more than enough. And that's going to be that quick Blink to tie in that initial set of aggression. The early spikes here for Infinity they are lining up. Blink and Sand King ready, a long ways off till Bat Rider Blink, of course. Knights being a little bit more sacrificial here on our Bat Rider. Copy is scouting out the top jungle stacks now. Does manage to at least clear out one camp. No commitment onto towers yet. They have left Illich alone to farm up on his Visage, so... Does have familiars ready, and drums, so he can start a steady siege down bot.
And Costabila's got the Aghanim Scepter on the way as well, this Bristleback, so... In fact, he doesn't have the full Ags. I thought he may have, but he's almost there, one part away. So scary times coming for Nouns with these spikes coming out for Infinity. They are trying to at least deal with this mid-tier 1 tower while they still can. Well, Copy gonna get jumped by Pippi. Epicenter gonna fly out as well into the lasso to boot, and Copy surely can't survive that and will not. A very nice pickup here for Infinity.
Yep, that's a big kill. They slow down that momentum that Copy was building up for himself, trying to work onto the Mage Slayer to mitigate some of this damage output that you're reliant on from PP, and to an extent even on their Visage, on their Omni Knight as well. So that does put a little bit of a dent in Nouns, but I don't think you're too concerned from Nouns. You're just farming up in Yuma as well. You're matching Costabila's pace to an extent that you can here on the Luna. My main concern is actually just how free this game has been for Illich. Like left, again, this Visage left alone bot, just constantly poking at the tier 1 at half HP, just with the familiars and himself, with the drums up. It's just allowed a steady pace to look for solo objectives. And it feels like this Visage alone is kind of bullyable by the side of Nouns. They're just opting to not play in that lane, maybe worried about the full soul assumption levels up and the damage that can dish out. Showing a lot of respect for the early levels of the Visage. They're still trying to slowly siege top, but Costabila is a hard nut to crack, and they tried last time. Did find it in the end, but until Copy shows back in that lane, chances are you are just poking and prodding. And now with that full Ags up, I don't think that engagement goes the same way if Costabila manages to turn that on.
No, certainly Costabila looking a lot scary now with the Aghanim Scepter available, and of course Nouns are going to be able to see this and probably just decide to stick back again. They are playing with the Luna after all, so you do want to buy Yuma a lot more time to get to a stage where this Luna is going to be a big problem. Nowhere near that stage quite yet. Bottom tier 1 tower, Illich will eventually take that one out, so it does get it for free. Of course, the top tier 1 tower, it's going to be a while till that goes down, I think, because again, you have the Ags Bristlebacks, so Costabile probably very happy to force a fight if they do make their way over. Nouns, I mean, at this stage, you just trying to make sure you don't lose too many tier 1 towers. You don't want to lose too much map control if you can avoid it here with this Lunar Razor.
Yeah. I think the one thing for Nouns is, again, they've not been able to check the triangle as much as they'd want. PP's just been getting a load of free farm, rushing into that full Bloodstone now for more AoE. Spell Lifesteal on hand, more sustain in the middle of these engagements. But that can only hold up for so long. Copy's working onto a very fast BKB on that Razor to front line. No other BKBs being lined up for Nouns yet. We're still relatively early for a Mars and a Luna consider that, but at the least with a Razor having BKB, he probably won't care too much about what plays Infinity might want to make when they do jump him in. His only concern will have to be Costabila with his physical output. We do finally get the blink up on Gunner, so you can start to look for more secure plays with the arena now, and more secure plays with the blink with the spear back, and they will smoke off the back of that one. Gunner and Lillis gonna try to work an angle. They are clumped up mid, but at this point, PP can turn around quite well. He's fairly tanky with a point booster up, and they'll also smoke on Infinity's end.
Yuma is going to be the target for Infinity, and they are running directly towards Yuma, but Yuma makes a smart choice to just run back towards the base, so realizing they are probably around him somewhere. Illich doing the exact same thing though, realizing there's too many heroes missing off the map right now, he does just retreat, will not get picked up on this Visage. Mid lane, there is going to be a lasso, they have at least caught Fly. So it's not really the biggest kill, but it does mean at least Infinity don't waste too much time just getting nothing. And now they can certainly think about that mid-tier 1 tower.
Bit of an opening. Epicenter was popped, so at the very least you don't have to worry about that teamfight spell here.
Gunner's going to jump in. A big arena, but the speed does not land on anything. Still, they're going to move in with the Eclipse now. Gunner still alive for now, but not for long. He is down, but they'll find Panda on the Omni. As they're moving across the Bile. He's dropping low and the Bristle's gone. They do get him, but now Yuma in trouble. Yuma going to have to fight back as he cannot run away. And it's still going to end up being a positive trade the way of Infinity. They do get a 2 for 3.
Yet they do. Great saves again coming out here from our Omni Knight. Panda just managing to get these repels off as the arena comes on, ensuring that they can't keep that lockdown onto Bristle, giving the opportunity for Costabile to just utilize all his spells, keep the spam up, and just apply damage as his HP is being chipped away at. Nouns do somehow manage to hold on to that tier 1 at 221 HP, not in deny range yet. But Infinity, again, they've got that tempo lined up for themselves. 5 to 8, 4k lead coming out for Infinity. And we're also looking at Costabile working onto his own Bloodstone. So, trying to leverage the durability, the damage you have with your Bristleback, and your Ags on the Bristleback as well. So the active and the passive, with all the damage you're doing in the middle of these team fights. You really need your BKBs to be up and running here for Nouns as they catch up Gunner.
They have caught that Gunner. Lasso's going to land. The Gunner just being set upon by Pippi. Gets a nice spear off, but it won't matter. Knight will still be able to secure the killers. Bottom lane, they're going to move on to the Visage. So direct trade of off lanes across the map as Illich does go down. Still, the mid-tier 1 tower has dropped. Costabile did have the space now to just go directly for it. In fact, he's found Yuma. Yuma going to be okay to retreat, but you do also have the hairball up on Costabile, so he does have that very nice initiation now on the Bristleback to try and really close the gap. And you can see now they just don't want to have a bar of him right now. Best to stay away if you can.
Not you have to. Just can't manage that Bristle yet, unless you can get that static link off once more. And your bigger issue is really just Panda. He's stalling out this burst play onto Costabile by a significant amount, just by taking these stuns away with a repel. And it's just hard to see any other way for Nouns to kind of get this initiation. All they really have is just Blink Arena to try to cut off, and the only one presenting itself straightforward tends to just be Costabile. Panda just hanging back, ensuring that the saves are always on hand. For the side of Nouns, again, when you hit this BKB timing and copy, things start to get a little bit simpler. The burst damage coming in from PP starts to fade away, and even the damage coming through from, say, Bad Rider, to an extent, it's also mitigated. The control from Illich, no longer a concern. So it has to be off the back of Copy's BKB. I wouldn't even mind seeing a quicker BKB on Yuma or on Gunner here either. Gunner already working into it. Still a ways off, of course, as there is a smoke now from Infinity. Getting a good flank up top here.
Oh, Yuma. Going to be the target that's been spotted Knight. He's going to get a very nice lasso, and well, Yuma, there's just no chance in hell of saving him. Yuma will go down as the rest of the squad just immediately get the hell out of there. Knight finding the perfect target once again as the Bat Rider. And in fairness, Yuma did run directly towards him, so now it's just not expecting the smoke rotation. And well, with that, Infinity, they'll have access to the Roshan pit, and well, it will be a pretty quick and easy Roshan, I think, here for Infinity.
Does not take long with Costabile around. Just gonna absolutely melt. I mean, they've got some good item spikes lined up here, although it is a daytime switch, but they've got AoE damage, no concern. Be able to take that Aegis, or at least leave it in the ground for a little bit. And there you go, Costabile does pick it up. You've got the Bloodstone up and running on PP. And again, Bloodstone almost done here for Costabile as well, so a lot of sustain up front. No regen reduction just yet on the side of Nouns, and again, very limited BKBs, with only really Copy having his finished up. Smoked out in Nouns, but into this Aegis, your chances are you're really not keen on finding a big team fight, but they are still running this way.
At the very least, it is before Costabile finishes the Bloodstone, which he's about 250 gold away from. So I suppose they'd rather just take the Aegis as the spear. Not going to land, but a 3-man arena is out. They'll try for Knight on the Bat Rider, trying to just burst him down. Lasso was committed by Knight, but he will die. That is one down for Infinity, as now the chase is on for Panda. They really want the Omni. Illich in trouble to boot. A big burrow strike from Pippi, but it's not going to help the Visage too much. He needs to continue running. We'll try for a TP out. Is he going to make it? He will. Costabile, he'll still go for the fight, but he's all alone right now. Can he really do this without the Bloodstone? Well, with the Aegis up, I suppose he probably can, and Pippi's going to jump in anyway, securing Gunner's life, as now they'll try for the Sand but do they have the damage output? Because Costabile is still around the area, and he's still alive. It seems like they will not. Pippi will get out, so will Costabile with the Aegis intact. And overall, I suppose you could call that a teamfight win for Nouns, but it was still pretty messy.
And it was. They only find 2 supports for their trouble. They do manage to take that fight in a very measured way, ignoring the Bristleback as much as possible, getting that backline jump onto the Batrider and the Omni Knight first, and trying to isolate away the Sand King of Pippi. It does pay off to an extent, but it doesn't do enough, I fear. That's my one concern for Nouns. The key targets of the key heroes right now from Infinity are still in a good position. They haven't been slowed down yet. They're at their major spikes. They'll be able to find themselves a Tormentor here on Nouns' side, at very least, so you get a little bit more utility out from First Crown of Lelis. A little bit more of those Brambles just to try to cut off the angles here. And to be fair, Infinity's lead has been dropping from 4K now down to 2K. Yuma and Copy have been very efficient across the map so far, so they are keeping up at the least into this timing.
Costabile is going to try for the tier 2 top tower. It does feel like with a draft like this for Infinity, you do want to try and finish the game by a certain point, because again, Razor, Luna, they're going to be big problems later on. Though even Fly might transition to a core if the game goes long enough, so you don't want to really allow that if you're Infinity. They'll take the top tier 2 tower. Of course, Nouns just completely avoiding them and just continuing to buy Yuma time. Bottom lane, Gunner gonna get caught by another great lasso. Knight just all over this Mars. He'll drop the arena defensively to try and get away with the TP out, but Pippi, oh, he's got him. Very cheeky play from Gunner to try and TP out, but Pippi barely gets there in time. His mid lane Panda, he's going to be just fine. They don't have a TP cancel for the Omni. So another nice kill for the side of Infinity.
It's just a lot of space being created by Nouns, so again, they're very efficient with Copy and Yuma with what they're able to get with the map space opening up. There's room for Yuma to just solo siege top, clear out all of the camps up top as well. A bit of an invasion on that forward part of the top jungle as well for Copy. And Gunner already bought out the BKB anyhow, so it's more than happy. They are losing objectives though. Another tier 2 falls here. Going the way of Infinity. Only one outer tower left for Nouns 24 minutes in. But again, the network lead for Infinity is not really growing by much. This is down to maybe the sacrifices being made by Illich and to an extent by PP. They are matching their core comparisons quite nicely here. Costabile already sieging onto the high ground. 40 seconds left in the Aegis, still has the Bloodstone active ready. And again, your ways of dealing with a Bristle, as long as that Omni Knight's behind, are limited at best. Nouns, they're trying to farm into some break here, but they have to sneak that in with a Hurricane Pike plus the BKB first for Yuma. That just means the Silver Edge is a long ways off until you have a straightforward solution to all of this durability.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way for now, because Costabile has moved onto the high ground. Aegis has only about 10 seconds left, so they might be forced to back here on Infinity, but Costabile still wants to at least get something for all this trouble. But it seems as though they will play it safe. They'll reset with the Aegis, and of course Costabile not feeling confident to continue committing, but Nouns have smoked up. They want to try and go. Wards are down, but they are scouted underneath the vision of the Dire as well. So instead, they're going to find Illich. The Visage caught out in the arena of Gunner, running right back into the walls, but the Repel will be there to save us. Now the Lasso is out. They've caught the Razor with that, but there's no backup for the Knight. Illich still alive. Still creating all kinds of chaos in the mid lane as Yuma. He pops the Eclipse, but he's nearby nobody. He's going to run from Pippi now, but he's caught up by the Burrow Strike. Yuma still trying to fight this one out. He'll go for the man fight against the Sand King, but the Bloodstone is popped. Pippi is probably not dying. Illich, however, will, and Yuma finally will go down. It's still a 2-for-1 trade in the favor of Nouns. Costabile will be chased by Copy, just sapping all the damage away, but here comes the Ags. Turning back onto the Razor, but does Costabile really have enough to keep going? They're going to try for this Razor. Copy dropping low, should go down, and eventually Costabile will have his way with him. Just Fly, Lelis, and Gunner all will try to retreat. Costabile continuing to chase. Spear away from Gunner, they're going to allow them the distance to get out. Now, I suppose Infinity do have somewhat of an opening to try for this T3 tower again. But the respawn timers are relatively low, so I highly doubt he actually gets away with it.
Yeah, just poking and prodding slowly on the high ground. You know he can't sustain just a little bit of poke damage here. We'll back off and reset. Overall, could have been much worse for Nouns. And that trade for core and support for 2 cores on Infinity does end up being, what, a 7 gold difference in terms of gold gained? So it does hurt that, you know, Yuma and Poppy aren't there to soak up that gold, but they're the ones to have to fall. But in terms of the team standing, at the very least, you're keeping things relatively even. Still, the lead does grow back to 5k here for Infinity's end. Costabile, you are seeing just how powerful this bristleback can be, with so much to back it up. Just a lot of AoE control, great pullbacks as they jump more.
Yeah, Fly just gets completely annihilated here. Costabile hitting for about 600 per right click once he did activate it. And, well, now they'll move on the high ground again. A nice lasso from our Batrider. Knight's doing it again. That's two down for the side of Nouns. 2 supports down. In fact, it might be a third now because Gunner, he'll at least creep skip, but can he get the TP away? Illich is having a search and he's going to find Gunner eventually, which will force out the BKB TP. But now you have no BKB for this high ground defense, and Costabile has already started.
Our options are limited. You do have Eclipse ready on Yuma, but again, there's a lack of backing up copy, it feels like. And once the arena's down, the damage just isn't coming from Yuma. His positioning has not been that clean this game. 2-3 faults. They are finding a tier 1 bot, but the racks are set to go, and it doesn't take much from the side of Infinity to just clear this out. The damage is there on Costabile when he turns on that seeing red facet on the warpath.
I mean, Yuma's not even there to defend. He just understands they can't deal with the bristleback right now without some more farm on the Luna. Yeah, so he'll just go ahead and just keep farming the right side of the map and just trust that they'll be able to carry later on. But so far, Infinity doing fantastic work with their draft, hitting the timings they've been looking for. And it's only set to get worse. Like, Costabile is still going to have a BKB on the way rather soon. So he's going to be even more unkillable in just a moment. And with that BKB, I'm sure they'll attempt high ground another time. If not wait for... In fact, not wait for Roshan, just go for Roshan, because it's already up.
Yeah. They have the opportunity to do so for sure. On the side of Infinity, it doesn't feel like they need to be in too much for rush. They've been on point with their initiation. They'll smoke up into repositioning. Does seem like they might expect it down bot, or a little bit of a flank into that bot jungle if anyone's farming out. No one on the side of Nouns showing. No one on the side of Nouns outside of the base, really.
They're not going to find anything yet. They could just head over to the Twin Gates if they want and go for Roshan. Yelich trying to scout out in the mid lane. Smoke will be broken. Costabile runs right into them. Yuma, he's at the other end. He's at the other end of this fight. Oh, Burrow strikes out. Gunner's going to be forced to jump in to try and help out, but Yuma's already so damn low. He'll pop the Eclipse. Illich, he's in trouble, but no, he gets the Stone Form off. Is that they'll take down 9 on the Batrider. 1 down. They are still looking for this fight. Gunner, he'll get cancelled with the TP. So Gunner will die for this. Pippi looking for more. He's on a Yuma once again. Yuma in still massive trouble as now Costabile makes his move in. And Yuma is going to drop. It's a triple kill for Costabile. The buybacks are incoming though now. They want to continue this fight. Pippi in pretty big trouble here to copy, but not quite. Costabile now being jumped once again. But can you deal with this bristleback? It seems like maybe they can. Costabile is down. Pippi is on the run. Panda still being chased, and Gunner does have a blink up in 5, so there should be another kill to come. Oh, a nice juke spot from Panda, but they're going to see him, and Gunner's right on target. It does cost you a couple buybacks, but it does feel very worth it here for now.
And it is. They finally put an end to the rampage that this bristleback has been outputting on the side of Infinity, getting some punishment off, and Roshan is still up. They've got bot side Roche as well as it switches to daytime. Gunner scouts it out for the team. They've got some coverage for the buybacks committed here on Yuma. I will say, again, Yuma's positioning has been kind of all over the place right now. Like, he goes forward for the team as the smoke breaks. The rest of his team hangs back. Gunner tries to save it at Arena. The fight up top just ends up being a mess. Just too many ways of stalling out here from the side of Infinity with that Visage Shard, with the Omni Knight hanging back. The prolonged team fight, though, does not end up panning out. At the very least, they do manage to get an angle in to find some punishment as all of these spells are used up. They still had a late usage out coming out as well from Copy. And again, Mars as an answer to Bristle in terms of making him face in front is a pretty sound answer. So that's allowed him that opportunity there. Still, with Aegis on hand now for the side of Nouns, they're in a pretty happy position. They cover, again, this buyback on Yuma. You can see how prolonged that fight was. They didn't manage to clip with the dust, but they get the vision out with Copy. And they get that cleanup. Still a 7k lead for Infinity. It feels like this just hasn't grown enough. Again, map state is still much more favorable for Infinity overall, considering they are 1 racks up. But Nouns are still finding ways to get back in this game. Like, they've got that BKB running on Yuma. He's going into the Conda. He is opting not to go for a break source. Getting the Satanic done on Copy. Sight of Vice for Gunner to help try to pin some heroes down. If Infinity aren't able to start these fights off from these great lassos we've been seeing, or just catching multiple heroes off guard and starting these fights on their own terms, that does provide some opening there for Nouns. If Nouns are able to, in as awkward as their team fight starts are, start the fights on their own chaotic way, it can cause some spell issues for the side of Infinity in terms of just using Repel maybe a little bit too early, not going to have it up for, say, the next onslaught that comes in from Nouns after they reset. A lot of back and forth things like that as they poke in and out.
Well, here we go. 4-man smoke from Nouns now. Leave the mid creep wave. Pippi and Panda around the area. In fact, the whole of Infinity is by the Dire Triangle. See if Nouns can actually infiltrate that area or whether they want to just think better of it. They draw a circle in the Dire jungle instead, so looks like they want to just head over to the left side of the map. Keep in mind, there is constant creep waves pushing in through the top lane with those super creeps, so gonna address that at some point as well. But Infinity showing by the tier 2 mid. Pippi just picked up a refresher orb, so that could be massive for Infinity, but of course it does leave him without buyback for the next team fight. Nouns, they seem like they've seen enough. I mean, Yuma's pretty close to having a full Daedalus up, so seems like they're probably just better advised to just go ahead and finish up those core items.
Just play it safe until these timings are online. Aegis still on hand for 2 minutes as well. Not the most time left. They will smoke with that full Daedalus up.
Oh, Panda's going to be caught. This is a big pickoff. You love to see the Omni Knight die first if you are Nouns, and now Pippi also spotted by Fly, and they immediately want to go, knowing the Omni is down, and he has no buyback either on Panda. Terrorize not going to connect, but the Yule Scepter was committed as Knight now going to jump in with a nice lasso, catching out Yuma, but a great Arena. Gunner, he found a 2-man spear. Costabile, though, with the BKB, could still run away. Zuma dropping pretty low, but still has the Aegis up to play with. So 2 down now for the Dire end, as it seems like Nouns could try to pressure at least the tier 2 mid tower, though they are lacking a creep wave.
They are. Still some respawns coming out for Infinity. At the very least, you will have our Omni Knight back in. Panda's going to be ready with the saves this time around. Still Costabile. Yes, no BKB.
Oh, the double curse crown connecting, but they just do not feel comfortable. It is still by the T2 tower, and they don't know if Pippi has buyback. He doesn't, but Nouns don't know that.
Still a little bit frisky. Very frisky of Costabile to be up front. Feeling confident with Panda respawning, of course. And for the side of Nouns, I mean, I suppose without that Eye of the Storm, you aren't feeling the most confident here on Copy to just stand up front with BKB on cooldown as well. So they have to work around these item cooldowns right now on the side of Nouns. Good forward vision being set up here by the side of Infinity, though. Yuma, this is pretty far forward for him.
It is. Do they see him? They do. He's right underneath a ward right now. They have no idea now. It's Costabile. He's going to show up. Here comes the cavalry. They're trying to go after the Dark Willow. First lasso will drag him back. Meanwhile, Costabile. He's about to drop and he's gone. The rest of the team, they ignored the Luna. They went for the Dark Willow instead. Arena out now, but a huge error from Infinity as Panda might drop. Pippi's going to try and jump in with the epicenter and salvage, but a nice spear away from Gunner. Gonna waste the whole spell usage. Aegis will expire, but Yuma does get a reset as they do kill off Gunner, but Pippi now in trouble as the Eclipse comes in from Yuma, trying to take down the Sand King. Pippi is gone. 2 for 2, but certainly in the favor of Nouns, as Illich will be able to TP out. Infinity will get the rest of them out. But a big error. Costabile left alone as they lasso the Dark Willow, and well, obviously Costabile just getting torn a new one in the meantime.
I'm very confused about that. They saw Yuma under that ward for such a long time, farming that camp on the right. They had the vision. Costabile had the right idea. The rest of his team flanks behind the camp, and that they get cut off. Like that is not what you want to be seeing here for Infinity. It provides an avenue back into for Nouns. Again, down to just 4K lead for Infinity. Not meaningful in a massive way. It's not a major item advantage for Costabile. Your core to cores are basically lined up with Gunner maybe being a little bit more sacrificial in this game, of course. That's where most of the network kind of hinges on, along with Knight being pretty far ahead on the Bat Rider for his support. But Yuma's doing a ton of damage, again, with his full Daedalus up. He has the Satanic pretty much lined up here as well. So he's just going to be able to sustain right through the middle of these team fights. Copy, going for that refresh, and that's the time when the Razor gets truly insane. Double static link, double Eye of the Storm, double BKB usage for these prolonged fights. Tanky targets like the Bristleback, it's just something he feasts on, because he wants to get more damage in. He wants to maximize static link. He will just get all of the damage away from Costabile, making him just fully rely on Quills, which, with some armor, that burst potential doesn't become as quick as it once was early on in the game. Nouns, they're staying in it. They're still, you know, in terms of map state, again, they're still 1 racks behind, but it certainly doesn't feel like that's been a concern for Nouns whatsoever. They've been able to take these engagements outside of their base in pretty good fashion. And Infinity, again, they dropped the ball on that one. We'll have to see them play a little bit sharper, because if they give openings like this to Nouns, I mean, Nouns, again, they still have these major item spikes lined up for themselves.
I mean, it seems like Infinity, at least for Dota Plus, it still believes that Infinity are well and truly in the lead of this game, at least win probability-wise, but it's certainly a couple of bad team fights, and that could switch very, very quickly. It's already starting to feel like it might be going the other way very soon, because Yuma's starting to get a little bit out of control here on this Luna. Hurricane Pike to build up next into the Silver Edge, and that'll be where the problems really start to begin. So it seems like Infinity gonna start pressuring high ground again, slowly but surely with Illich and the Familiars. But Yuma will be around to defend. Such a shame for Knight as well, right? Because this Bat Rider's been on point with his lasso initiations every time. And the one time he doesn't lasso the right person, it just all falls apart. It's so much pressure on Knight to make sure these lassos are perfect.
It has to be perfection every single time. It's their pivotal BKB Pierce control, right? Like, it's their isolation tool as well. Drag back, take away any potential turnaround from Nouns if they get the right target. No saving tools, again, on Nouns in terms of, like, skills here. Not in comparison to, say, the Omni Knight that we've seen a massive impact on from Panda. And the lead just drops to 3K again. Next Roche in 50 seconds. Not something Infinity can afford to give away once more to Nouns.
Infinity, they're still hanging by their diet triangle. Nouns slowly moving towards them. Costabile just on the right side of them. In fact, Costabile just hanging by his high ground ward. Safety and vision, they say. Nouns are going to smoke up, but so will Infinity. And it's a very similar position to that last fight. Roshan is 15 seconds away from spawning. It's a big Roshan, it's a big team fight. A big wraparound from Nouns, in fact, through the river. Now through the bottom lane, heading south. They'll see Panda first. That's the one they really want. The jumper's not really on target though from Gunner. Doesn't get the arena he wanted. Fly, he's fine. BKB popped here by Knight very early on, as it seems like the fight is already very, very messy. Knight now being chased down by Copy. Pippy's going to try and save him with the Burrow Strike and does create some space, as now the arena is down. They've caught the Sanking. They want to blow up Pippy and he's gone. Pippy is down. Costabilia, already half HP removed, but he will try to heal up with the Bloodstone. Still, he's in trouble. The Spirit Vessel is out. Meanwhile, Knight, he does go down to the Razor. Costabilia and Yuma still man-fighting, but Yuma got to be very careful. He'll retreat just for a little bit as Gunner steps back in. Costabilia is down. It's 4 for nothing. Make it a full team wipe. Oh, Nouns. After Roshan, it is.
And just the way Nouns are executing this, it's not the cleanest, right? We saw the initial jump in from Gunner, misses out on the opportunity, but the same thing went there for Infinity. They got the blink forward from Knight on that Bat Rider, not finding anyone to lasso, forced to just dance around on the side, and it's just a scattered mess. The Omni Knight, Peep is not around, Panda's not around to get the save off. They don't go for Roshan first, they'll opt for tier 2 into pressure onto the high ground. With Luna on hand, the high ground again doesn't take too much time, so this is a very respectable play out from the side of Nouns, as they can always just link back in. It's a daytime Roche. They've got advantage in that area anyhow. And Infinity suddenly find themselves on back foot. Now they have to contend with a refresh and copy. Double Satanic, double BKB, double Link. This just feels like a nightmare to play. Again, this lineup on Infinity does have scaling, but it doesn't scale in the same way as a Luna would. It's very reliant now to try to maximize this durability you get with your Bristleback, with Guardian Angel, to try to get some isolation play with your Bat Rider Lasso, and we just didn't see that in the last fight. Again, it's just such an awkward angle in from Nouns that Infinity weren't completely ready for that smoke breaking the tree line.
Well, here we go. They did go for a Rax first, which was definitely the smarter play. And of course, straight after that, Nouns, they will return back into the Roshan pit. This does give Infinity a chance to try and go for a post-Roshan fight. And they are smoked up as 5. They're rushing towards the pit. Oh boy, they smoked under vision. And they got scanned as well. So they're in a bit of danger here, perhaps. We'll see if Nouns want to retreat or if they want to set up for a fight. Who gets caught? Yuma's waiting on the high ground. They want to fight, it looks like. Yuma, he'll get started. They're trying to jump the Luna, but he's fine for now. As Knight is taking a lot of damage, but Lasso is out. They've caught Fly with that one. Meanwhile, Gunner in trouble, but the BKB is off in time and the arena is down. Pippy in trouble. Pippy is gone. They've lost the mid-sanking again. They'll get the Aegis of Yuma, but what does it matter? Look at Copy just chasing that Costabilia. Oh my goodness. Another full team wipe. And that might be game. 80 seconds without the Bristleback. Yeah, it's GG. It's over.
Yeah.
Now
there's no defense.
They'll play the fight on Yuma at the end. Yuma, that one doesn't count, sir. Take that out of your bag. It doesn't count.
I mean, hey, he's boosting the stats.